Liebe Freunde, herzlich willkommen zu unserem Sprachprogramm. Hearty welcome to the German program offered by Diesel's Academy. Today, we are going to learn about one of the most important concepts of German language, the reflexive verb. We know there are certain verbs in German language which are reflexive in nature. Let us look into some of the sentences which are constructed with the help of reflexive verbs. Ich freue mich auf die Party. Wir langweilen uns am Strand. Er bereitet sich auf die Prüfung vor. Look at these sentences. Ich freue mich. Wir langweilen uns. Er bereitet sich. Look at the subject as well as the object. The subject of the first sentence, ich freue mich auf die Party, ist ich, and ich is in nominative case. Look at the object of the sentence, that is mich, and there is a convergence of subject ich and the object mich. There is a coming together, reflecting of it into one person. That is why it is known as reflexive verb. Let's look at the reflexive pronomen. Reflexive pronomen in accusative case as well as reflexive pronomen in dative case. Personal pronomen in nominative case is ich, for which the reflexive pronomen in accusative case is mich, and the reflexive pronomen in dative case is mir. Du, dich, dir, sie, es, sich, wir, uns, ihr, euch, sie, sich, und again sich. Now when you look at this table, this is something similar to what you have already studied in A1. We have studied the personal pronomen in A1, personal pronomen in accusative case as well as in dative case. Here, change is only for RCS and CC. Change is that in RCS, the reflexive pronomen in accusative case is sich. Reflexive pronomen in dative case also is sich. And look at CC. Again, the reflexive pronomen in accusative case is sich, and reflexive pronomen in dative case also is sich. Let's take this verb sich freuen. The verb sich freuen can be used with the preposition auf as well as with the preposition über. But there is a change in the meaning, in the understanding, when we use the reflexive verb sich freuen with auf as well as sich freuen über. I can say, ich freue mich über das Geschenk, which means I have already received a Geschenk and this is at hand. But when I say, ich freue mich auf die Party, which means I am very happy about the party which is going to take place perhaps in the evening. It is going to happen sometime in the future. Let's see how it goes with some of the reflexive pronomen. Ich freue mich, du freust dich, RCS freut sich, wir freuen uns, ihr freut euch, sie freuen sich, and again sie freuen sich. Now we look at the Stellung, the reflexive pronomen, how the reflexive pronomen is placed in a sentence. Let's analyze this sentence. Die Frau freut sich auf ihren Urlaub. The lady is very happy about the holiday which is going to happen or the vacation that is going to take place. Naturally, the Frau is the subject of this sentence and it is in nominative case. The verb used is sich freuen auf, which means to be happy about an event which is going to happen at some time, perhaps in the future. And the reflexive pronomen used is sich, and it is conjugated and it is placed immediately after the reflexive verb. Let's look at the second sentence. Ich wasche mich jeden Morgen. I wash myself every morning. Here, ich is subject and it is placed in nominative case. Sich waschen is the reflexive verb used in this sentence, and mich is object, and this direct object is placed immediately after the verb sich waschen. Ich wasche mich jeden Morgen. Let's look at some of the sentences, some example sentences which are used with different reflexive verbs. Die Mutter kümmert sich die Kinder. The mother take care of the children. Beschwerte sich über den schlechten Service. He complains about the bad service. Wir treffen uns am Abend. We meet ourselves in the evening. Sie ruht sich im Zimmer aus. She takes rest in the room. Look at the reflexive verbs which are used in these sentences. They are sich kümmern sich beschweren über, sich treffen, and again sich ausruhen. So these are the reflexive verbs which are used, and in all these sentences you would find there is a convergence between subject as well as an object, and that stands as the speciality of the reflexive verbs used in a sentence. Let's just analyze two more examples wherein we have got reflexive verbs used in accusative case as well as in dative case. Look at the first sentence. Ich wasche mich. I wash myself. But look at the second sentence. Ich wasche mir die Hände. If I say the sentence, ich wasche die Hände, it can be anybody's hand. It's not very specific. And the Hände is the direct object. But when I say the sentence, I make the sentence, ich wasche mir die Hände. Mir is used in dative case and it stands as the indirect object. The Hände is the direct object, and in the place of the indirect object I use reflexive pronomen in dative case. That's why ich wasche mir die Hände. I have got two more examples. Ich ziehe mich an, which means I dress myself up. Or look at another sentence with dative reflexive pronomen. Ich ziehe mir einen Pulli an, which means I dress myself up with a pullover. Here the direct object is der Pulli. Here it comes einen Pulli, which is in accusative case, and mir is the reflexive pronomen which is used in dative case. Ich kämme die Haare. I comb myself, but ich kämme mir die Haare, which means I comb my hair. Let's look and make ourselves aware about some of the commonly used reflexive verbs in German language. They are sich freuen über, which means to be happy, sich anziehen, which means to dress up, sich langweilen, which means to relax, sich beeilen, which means to hurry, sich ausruhen, which means to take rest, sich unterhalten, which means to converse, to communicate. Also it can be used with the meaning to entertain. Sich ärgern, which means to be angry, sich umziehen, which means to change the dress or change the dress of oneself, sich treffen, which means to meet, sich aufregen, to be excited, sich beschweren, to complain, sich hinsetzen, which means to sit down. My dear friends, this was a short video about reflexive verb, and this is a very important concept to be studied in German language, very especially for the students who are preparing for A2 level as well as B1 level of German language. I wish all of you a nice time of learning. Vielen Dank.